Well, this is a video that I didn't see myself making. So I have a list of films. It's just a list where if I watch a film and I think that film is amazing, or if there's some particular aspect of that film that I really liked, then it goes on that list and I give it sort of like a rating out of 10. I've always wanted to do film reviews. I really like watching them on YouTube and just sort of all round. I really like people sort of picking apart the pros and cons of a film. And it's always something that I would have liked to have done myself, but never really got around to doing it. And yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing in these sort of videos, just sort of talking about some of the more recent additions to the list. Films and TV shows have generally been one of my favourite art forms.
I'm not actually sure if I have enough.
I'm going to be putting the entire list in the description. If there's a... Okay, so the first film that I've got sort of lined up for today is a film by the Safdie brothers called Good Time.
So I told you about my brother, yeah? I told you about the program he's forced to attend and how he shouldn't be there. We good?
When you get another 10 grand, your brother will get out.
Where are you? How much money can you get right now?
You're gonna have a good time.
Robert Pattinson's in this film, and I know he gets a bad rep for, well, of course, like the Twilight films and that. And I think he was fine in the Twilight films. He very much had, like, the same look on his face all the time, the same sort of attitude. And that doesn't help, considering the script for those films are very, very bad. I think in this film he's fantastic. He basically plays the brother of this mentally handicapped bloke, and he decides to rope his brother into helping him to rob a bank. The heist goes well, but they end up getting chased by the police, and his brother gets caught and sent to a detention center, and he manages to escape. The film's set over one night, and it's basically a night where the Robert Pattinson's mindset is, I have to get my brother out of this place because I don't think he'll last very long if he ends up going further than a detention center. And I thought it was great. I thought I really had, well, a good time. I think all the action scenes are really sort of tense, and all the scenes where it's not sort of action-based, there's a lot of colour going on. It did sort of give me throwbacks to Nicholas Winding Refn's The Neon Demon, because there's such a broad colour palette going on in each of the shots, and it's really sort of aesthetically pleasing to watch. The story itself was fine. I think it was, it's nothing too complex. But everything else in this film, like the acting and the way the film's shot and the action scenes and the music, this is just one of those films where when it's finished, I went and looked up the soundtrack. It's like a sort of like a techno synth. It's very sort of 80s. And again, it did also remind me of The Neon Demon a bit. I think I gave this film a 7.6 on the list. It's very, very, unknown. It's really unknown. I really think this film is deserving of 1 or 2 Oscars, actually, because yeah, it really did get snubbed this year at the Academy Awards. Okay, so lately I've been watching a lot of cult classics, and to sort of start off, I decided to pick a film off the shelf that I already had, and it was a film called Billy Elliot.
Right then, lads, now give it all you got. Round 1. Well, don't just stand there, Elliot.
Inside every one of us is a special talent waiting to come out. The trick is finding it.
2 and 3 and 4.
Bali.
What's wrong with Bali?
I used to go to Bali.
See?
Lads do football or boxing or wrestling, not Bali.
And this is the film that I'm pretty sure the play was based on. I think the film came before the play. And it's basically the story about this kid living in, I think he's living in Yorkshire, or some sort of rural Britain. His dad used to be a miner, but now he's gone on strike. Not as in a miner as in like under 18 miner. This kid's dad actually is like a coal miner. So yeah, money's really short, and he goes to these boxing lessons. He he doesn't like it. He's not very good at it. And what he ends up doing is he ends up like discovering a passion for ballet, and sort of as he goes through the film, you really sort of get to know him as a character and what he's sort of been through, how his mum died, and how that sort of affected him. And I think one of the best parts of this film is Julie Walters. I think she's absolutely phenomenal in this film. She's the actress who played, I think, Ron Weasley's mum in the Harry Potter films. But yeah, she's absolutely fantastic in this film. She plays this ballet teacher who's sort of always really like grumpy, and you can tell that she's got some sort of issues going on with her home life, and now it's obvious that she doesn't like what she's doing. The main kid actor himself, I think he's good. He's a very talented actor for his age, or at least the age he was when this film came out. It's shot fine. I think the editing did stand out, and the actor that played Billy Elliot's brother, I think he was also fantastic, and the actor who played his dad. Just all around, the actors for this film are fantastic. There were a few scenes that I wasn't too fond of. I didn't think they struck as powerfully as they wanted to. There's this one scene, basically everyone's really down at the moment, so Billy and one of his friends go to sort of like the place where he does the boxing, and his dad shows up, and his dad's there and sees one of his mates in a tutu, and his dad's just like, and all of a sudden, sort of out of nowhere, there's not really any music to it or anything, Billy just starts dancing in front of his dad, and I was a bit, that did kind of catch me off guard. I wasn't expecting that, and I wasn't really following it. I mean, otherwise, I think this is a fantastic film. It's very bleak, though. It's throughout the majority of the film, it's very miserable. There's always one character who's having a hard time with something, and there's often not many things to boost the mood. It's a very bleak film. So yeah, I think I gave Billy Elliot a 7.5. Okay, the final film on the list, and this has become one of my favourite films of late. It is the highest scoring film on my list at the moment. I think it's got like an 8.89 out of 10. And that is Stanley Kubrick's A Clockwork Orange. Now, A Clockwork Orange is... where the hell do I start with this film? And it basically follows this 15-year-old boy called Alex, who's got a bunch of mates, and he calls them his droogs. And they basically go around wreaking havoc and beating up homeless people, and like breaking into houses, and yeah, beating people up and raping people and stealing stuff. And he's basically an evil person, but he's got a certain style about him. He's very into sort of Beethoven in classical music, which really did help to sort of bring his character forward. The director Stanley Kubrick tries to portray Alex as the most human in the whole story, which is really interesting because it really helps you sort of connect to him on a level which is kind of unsettling. Why am I caring for this psychopath? And it's really unsettling. There is so much to like about this film, and it's graphic. I mean, it's not too heavy on the gore side of things. Just the way that each action scene is choreographed, it makes it seem really realistic, and it did have my fist clenching at some point, because I was like, oh, that's not a very nice thing to look at. Alex basically ends up getting caught by the police, and he's taken away, and he gets sentenced to, I think, 15 years in prison. And whilst he's in prison, he gets signed up to this treatment called the Ludovico treatment, and it's basically like a brainwashing thing. So it's all about how the government tried to brainwash this psychopath into thinking away from bad. I think the main actor in this film is fantastic, plays Alex. The script is great. The script is fantastic. Alex sort of has this way of speaking, which is kind of like Shakespearean English meets Russian meets, I don't know, yeah, sort of British slang.
Oh, globby bottle of cheap, stinking chip oil! Come and get one in the yarbles! If you have any yarbles, you eunuch jelly thou!
The Durango 95 purred away real horror show. A nice, warm, vibraty feeling all through your gutty woods. Soon it was trees and dark, my brothers. With real country dark.
Really does help to give his character his own sort of style. The soundtrack is often very upbeat, and during a lot of the unpleasant scenes, it really helps to unsettle anyone who's watching. Not only that, but the film often comes across as kind of funny. I mean, just watch this scene here.
Food, all right? Great, sir, great. Try the wine.
It's definitely a film that had me thinking afterwards. It was a film that I saw, and afterwards I was thinking to myself, are the government actually in the right for doing this, for brainwashing this person to thinking away from bad? Or is it something that Alex should be doing himself and he should want to change? Okay, so yeah, thank you for watching. This was sort of like my first video where I talk about films that I like. This hasn't been scripted or anything. I kind of wanted to give sort of my raw, off the top of my head thoughts on each of these 3 films. And I don't know, I guess hopefully you enjoyed. If you would like to see me make another video like this, or if you'd like to see me review a certain film, then yeah, just go ahead and drop a comment and I'll check it out for sure. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll catch you in another video, I guess.